service. Let us worship.
Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible, I made it just this way. To make myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly, I wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. Welcome to my happiness, you know it makes me smile. Pleased to meet and have you here for just a little while. We open up our spaces and try to break some chains. And if the truth be told, they will never come again. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la. Welcome to my evening, the closing of the day. And I could try a million times, never find a better way to tell you that I love you and all the songs I play. Inside this lovely day. Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. 'Cause I'm the one responsible, I made it just this way. Got myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly, I wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la la la.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ann Scarborough, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at South Valley UU Society. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Come whoever you are. You are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. You are welcome here. No matter what you have experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time or some of the time or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. Today, on behalf of the South Valley Board of Directors and the Ministerial Search Committee, it is my pleasure and honor to formally introduce the Reverend Laura Young as our candidate for settled ministry. This has been a long time coming for our congregation, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of the search committee in getting us to this point. Let's all give them an applause. A full list of the members of the search committee are posted to the South Valley website. Next Sunday, our congregation will vote on whether to call Reverend Laura as our next settled minister. Over the next week, there will be many opportunities for you to meet and to interact with Reverend Laura, and we hope that you will join us for those events as you can and wish to. Reverend Laura is an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister with experience in a wide variety of nonprofits and more recently in hospice. She loves being a minister and is very excited to be with us this morning from her home in Santa Barbara, California. If called as our next minister, Reverend Laura shared with me that she hopes to dive into the great food culture of Salt Lake City once we can again go to restaurants. So she'll be looking for recommendations from you all. She's also looking forward to being in a place with actual seasons. After the service today, you are invited to rejoin this Zoom room for an informal and fun time of connecting with Reverend Laura. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Reverend Laura and invite her to call us to worship.
Good morning, South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. I have been waiting for this day for a very long time, ever since I first came to Salt Lake for the first time to meet with your search committee back in February. And I'll just tell you really quickly that it was on that Saturday night of that first weekend that I turned to my partner, Laura, and I said, oh no, I think we might be moving to Salt Lake City. There was this feeling underneath the tumult and the turmoil and the excitement of being with your search committee that told me that something really important was happening. And it turns out that my intuition was correct, because here we are today. So let's worship together and have a wonderful time today. I have so enjoyed getting to meet some of you already this week. I'm overwhelmed by the care and attention and the thoughtfulness that you have already shown me and to my partner, Laura. So thank you. I want to thank the board. I want to thank the search committee. I especially want to thank Maureen, who I forgot to mention in my welcome video earlier this week. She was very gracious about that list of names, not including her. So thank you, Maureen. And thank you to everyone who is part of the worship team this morning. You have allayed my anxieties and my fears about doing virtual worship for the very first time as a candidate for ministry in your congregation. So thank you so much. And let us settle down into a space of worship. I invite you, wherever you are, to put your feet on the ground and to breathe in through your nose and to breathe out slowly and to receive these words. And they're written by Terry Tempest Williams. And I had picked this poem actually about a week and a half before I actually really investigated who Terry Tempest Williams was. And I was delighted to find out that she is heavily influenced by the Mormon culture and the arid landscapes of Utah. So a little bit of coincidental piece there. So here we go. She writes, I pray to the birds. I pray to the birds because I believe they will carry the messages of my heart upward. I pray to them because I believe in their existence, the way their songs begin and end each day, the invocations and benedictions of the earth. I pray to the birds because they remind me of what I love rather than what I fear. And at the end of my prayers, they teach me how to listen. Let us worship together. Our opening song this morning is number 123, Spirit of Life, which I know is familiar to you. The lyrics will be in the chat box if you'd like to sing along. Everyone will be muted and only John will be unmuted.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, rule to me, come to me.
We're going to light our chalice now. And if you have a chalice at home, a candle that you would like to light as well, Zach will put the candle lighting chalice words in our chat box. And if you want to stand to light the chalice, as we do when we're together, and we can say these words together that are in the chat box. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Welcome. I would like to welcome you this morning to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We are an intentionally diverse religious community, and all are welcome here, as Anne beautifully read our words that say so clearly. All are welcome here this morning. We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to those of you visiting us for the first time. We're so glad you're with us, and we would love to get to know you. Our greeter today, Natalie, will be dropping a connection card into the chat box, which is a way for newcomers. If you want to be connected to our community, please use that connection card. We would love to get to know you. This is a caring, supportive community. During this time of physical distancing, we're working to be creative in how we take care of each other. A group of members are actively reaching out to folks in our community and will continue to do so while we are in this pandemic. The pastoral care card has been put on our website, and you can also see it now in a link that Natalie is going to put in the chat box. All of our online services are intergenerational, and we're so glad to have people of all ages with us today. There is also religious exploration gatherings that go on at different times of the week. And to learn about those, you can see that in the Happenings newsletter. And you can also contact Rebecca Britt, who is our Director of Religious Exploration. You're going to hear a story from her in a little bit. She has an email address that Natalie is going to be putting in the chat box as well. And to keep updated on all the activities that are part of South Valley, we encourage you to use the Google Calendar that's on the website. And if there are activities you know of that aren't on the calendar, or if you want to host a new group gathering, please use the reservation form on the website, because although we're physically separate, we are still connected. After today's service, we'll be having a Get to Know Reverend Laura Young chat in the same Zoom room. Come to the same location at 12:30. If you want to stay after the service for 15-20 minutes and hang out and talk to some people over an open chat, we'll do that too. Then we'll kind of be closed down there for maybe a half hour or so, and then we'll be opening back up at 12:30 to have that community chat. So you can mute, you can take your video off, you can leave your computer on, or just come back in the same Zoom link. Either way, come back at 12:30, it'll be great. We're now going to share the warmth of community, and so we're going to say hello to each other in the chat box. If you want to write where you're calling from, that would be great. And also we will unmute for a moment and we can say hi in person. It'll be chaotic, but it'll be fun, okay? So Zach's going to unmute us all and we'll say hi.
Hi, everybody. Everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right.
You can't put a big
Hi,
one.
Reverend Laura. Hi, Ann and
People
Bob.
saying hi. A big one.
Hi. But I have to.
All those
Bob
people.
Spicer.
A lot of people saying hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Now that we've said hello to each other, we'll do the time for all ages. My name is Rebecca Britt. I'm the DRE, aka the kid person. So to start, I want to invite us to do a little exercise. So what we're gonna do is gonna be the exercise and the story. So we are going to, this is a story about listening, and a child who goes on a walk with their parent and listens to the world. So we're all gonna stay muted, but there's gonna be silence on the Zoom while we I'm gonna expect you to center yourself and be as quiet as feels comfortable to you. And for just a little bit, listen to your house and listen to the world outside and try to notice if there's anything that you didn't hear before. All right, now that you've had a bit of time to hear things, I invite you to kind of drop in the chat if you heard anything. I heard my house creaking a little bit. I don't know if it was my roommates or the house being haunted, so I'm gonna put that in the chat. We're seeing refrigerators running, creaky chairs, dogs snoring, birds, a fridge, talks clicking, a wife's movie, dogs chewing on bones, but a lot of things outside. There's birds, cat shenanigans, lots and lots of birds. And I hear things outside too, but I didn't notice while we were so focused on the Zoom. Sometimes I feel like a tree could fall down, but I'm in the middle of worship, so I don't hear it. So thank you everyone for sharing. There's more things in the chat. We're gonna listen to a story about someone who did just this. This is a child who went on a walk with their parent. So this is called The Listening Walk by Paul Showers. And it's illustrated by Aliki. Here's the first picture. The Listening Walk. I like to take walks. I take walks with my father and our dog. Our dog is named Major. He's an old dog and does not walk very fast. I forgot to tell you something about this book. It's gonna make me make very silly noises, and you can laugh and it won't hurt my feelings because I can't hear you. We go down the street and we do not talk. My father puts his hands on his pockets and thinks. Major walks ahead and sniffs. I call this a listening walk. On a listening walk, I do not talk. I listen to all the different sounds. I hear many different sounds when I do not talk. First, I hear Major's toenails on the sidewalk. Major has long toenails. When he walks, his toenails scritch the sidewalk. They go thick, 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 thick. I hear my father's shoes on the sidewalk. My father walks slowly, and his shoes go dup, 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 dup. I can't hear my shoes. I wear sneakers. I hear all sorts of sounds on the listening walk. I listen to sounds I've never listened to before. I listen to lawnmowers. Lawnmowers are noisy. Lawnmowers make a steady zooming sound. It goes like this. Zoom, zoom, zoom. I like to listen to lawn sprinklers. Lawn sprinklers are very quiet. They make different sounds. Some sprinklers make a steady whispering sound, like other sprinklers turn around and around. They go like this. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. On the listening walk, I hear cars in the street. The shiny new cars are quiet. They only make a soft hmm. But old cars are very noisy. The old cars sound like this. Braka, 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 braka. When cars go around the corner too fast, they go woo! When cars stop quickly, the brakes go ee! On the listening walk, I hear all kinds of sounds. A bicycle ring, dring, dring. A baby crying, wah, wah, wah. A jet flies over. The jet goes, ee. A boy runs dribbling a basketball. It goes bump, bump, bump. A lady hurries by us. The lady's high heels go buck, 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 buck. The bus is coming. The lady starts to run. Pick, 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 pick. The bus stops at the corner. The bus starts again. Off it goes. They're hearing so many sounds. Around the corner, men are digging up the street. They're using a jackhammer. The jackhammer sounds like the jackhammer hurts my ears. I put my hands over my ears as we walk by, and it sounds like a little quieter. Sometimes my father and I take Major to the park. It's quiet there. The sounds at the park are not loud like the noises in the street. My father walks down a shady path. I do not talk. I listen. My father's shoes make sound in the path. They go shh, 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 shh. I listen to the birds in the park. I go to the pigeons and the ducks. The pigeons and the ducks meet us. They want us to feed them. The pigeons puff up their feathers. They take tiny little steps. They come toward me, nodding their heads. They say, proo, proo, proo. At the pond, the ducks are waiting. They want us to feed them too. Small ducks swim up to the edge. They turn their heads to one side and look at us. The small ducks waggle their tails and quack. They go, meow, 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 meow. The big ducks are not so brave. They stay back and swim around in circles. The big ducks look at us, but they do not come close. The big ducks say, rah, rah, rah. Sometimes I hear a woodpecker in the park. The woodpecker sounds like a little hammer. He goes, rat-a-tat-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat-tat. In the park, I hear the crickets. The crickets go, creak, creak, creak. I hear the wind in the leaves. It whispers, shh. I hear the bees in the bush. They go, bzzz. It's fun to go on a listening walk. You don't have to go far. You can walk around your block and listen. You can even walk around your yard and listen. You do not even have to take a walk to hear sounds. There are sounds everywhere all the time. All you have to do is listen. Right now, there are sounds that you can hear. And they suggest we listen, but we already did that. And we heard so many different sounds in our houses. So thank you all so much for listening. Embers, I'll see you at 12:30. Older kids, I'll see you at 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was delightful. I'm very impressed with your sound making capacity. Let us enter now into a time of silent reflection and meditation and prayer, and I'll lead us in by sounding our bell gong, and we'll hold silence together for 1.5 minutes, and then I'll ring the bell gong again. Welcome back to this moment. I'm going to turn now over to Colin for our interlude.
Take it to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I'll have to be some kind of natural born fool, don't wanna pass that way again. You know I could feel it on a country road. Sail on home to Jesus, won't you, good girls and boys? I'm all in pieces, you can have your own choice. I'm a bed full of angels and they're coming to set me free. I don't know nothing about the wild wind, but I can tell you that it's bound to be. So you know I could feel it, child, yeah, on a country road. I guess my feet know where they want me to go, walking on a country road. Take it to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. Have to be some kind of natural born fool, don't wanna pass that way again. No, I could feel it on a country road. Walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down a country road. La 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 la.
Oh, Colin.
Hey.
We could feel it. Thank you. That was awesome. It is our practice at South Valley Unitarian Universalist to share our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. For March and April, we've selected Breathe Utah, a local organization that works to improve the air we breathe through education, collaboration, and policy. They increase awareness with youth and adults, implement projects to improve air quality, and seek real and practical solutions. South Valley now has an app for giving. We have an account on Givelify that Zach has put into the chat box. This allows South Valley to continue receiving funds to support the work of our community during this pandemic. You're invited to give using the link that is in the chat box, or you can go to your phone and download the app. Using this app helps South Valley tremendously during this time of physical distancing. And we do say physical distancing rather than social distancing because we're social creatures and we still are seeing each other, calling, etc. But we do have to be physically distant. Zach's going to put our offering words in the chat box. And so let us read those words together. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together, we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. La la da 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 da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I've come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Doot-doot-it, feeling groovy. Da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Doot-doot-it, feeling groovy. Da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy.
Thank you, Colin. You're so gifted. We're very grateful, very moved. Thank you for all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give. May we be truly thankful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to Breathe, Utah.
We have two readings today. The first is from John Richard Jeffries, who was an English nature writer born in 1848, noted for his depiction of English rural life in essays, books of natural history, and novels. He died at the age of 38 from complications of tuberculosis. A butterfly comes and stays on a leaf much warmed by the sun, and shuts his wings. In a minute, he opens them, shuts them again, half wheels round, and by, just when he chooses and not before, floats away. The flowers open and remain open for hours to the sun. Hastelessness is the only word one can make up to describe it. Each moment is so full of life that it seems so long and so sufficient in itself. Our second reading is from Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a contemporary Vietnamese Buddhist monk, has published over 100 books, and is an activist in nonviolent peace movements throughout the world. Our true home is in the present moment. To live in the present moment is a miracle. The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth in the present moment, to appreciate the peace and the beauty that are available now. Peace is all around us, in the world and in nature, and within us, in our bodies and in our spirits. Once we learn to touch this peace, we will be healed and transformed. It is not a matter of faith, it is a matter of practice. And so ends our readings for this morning.
Thank you, Brenda. So one of my favorite authors Barbara Brown Taylor once wrote that as a child, she came to first know the divine in the fields and the valleys outside of her backyard. She recalls, quote, that the divine presence was strongest outdoors and most palpable when I was alone. When I think of my first cathedral, she writes, I am back in a field behind my parents' house in Kansas with every stalk of grass lit up from within. I can hear the entire community of crows, grasshoppers, and tree frogs who belong to this field with me, end quote. Barbara Brown Taylor recognizes, even as a small child, that she belongs to the field along with all of the other creatures. There is no separation. She belongs. And the recognition of this kinship awakens her spiritual imagination. And I think in times of crisis and of turmoil and tumult, it can be easy to forget our kinship with all the creatures of the earth. But it is in times of crisis and turmoil, which is every time, in every place, that we most need to remember to connect. As I was preparing to be with you this morning, I listened to a lot of NPR, and I happened to hear a story on NPR that caught my attention. It was about how much quieter the world is right now, with the shelter-in-place orders active in most communities across the United States. That means we're no longer commuting, driving our kids to sports practice, traveling for business, going on trips, all those sorts of things that we might use our automobiles for. And as the story goes, the animals are noticing and their behavior is changing. For the first time, the story said, there can be birdsong heard in the streets of Paris. And birds everywhere, it seems, are perhaps singing a little less loudly because they no longer need to yell their songs in order to be heard by one another. And this lessening of the yelling means that the birds have more energy for foraging for food, for finding mates, and tending to their young. And given that it's springtime right now, tending to their young is their primary focus. And bird researchers have posited that perhaps the bird population will be stronger, healthier, and more abundant as a result of the quieting of human activity. It's sort of a surprising silver lining in the midst of this global pandemic. Now, clearly, many of us are not experiencing indoor quiet these days. With our children home and young adults returned from college, many of us are dealing with more chaotic and more noisy indoor environments. And some of us are dealing with indoor environments that are far too quiet as we grapple with and struggle with the loneliness that comes from physical distancing. Add that the economic strain and the complex family dynamics and the potential and very real loss of loved ones to the COVID-19 virus. These things are also present in the midst of this quieting of the outdoor world. So I want to just notice that we can hold both this quieting as well as, whoop, don't push the screen away, the quieting along with the noise that we're contending with. And that's part of our job as Unitarian Universalists, is to be able to wade into the middle of difficult things and to hold multiple things as true all at the same time. So there's no guidebook also for getting through these times, but I have a lot of faith in our communities as Unitarian Universalists because we know how to listen. We know how to listen to ourselves and to one another, and we know how to learn from the experience of others. And that learning through listening can really help us to move from reaction-based perspectives to perspectives that are grounded in reflection, that are adaptive, and that allow us to be more resilient in the midst of this. For several millennia now, our religious and philosophical wisdom traditions have implored us in a single fashion to find and cultivate stillness as a primary means for navigating difficult times. And our sages and our mystics have often pointed to the natural world as a primary teacher in that journey. And that's where the birds and their singing comes in. In a time when we are tempted to focus only on the practical, the necessary, the urgent, and to live in that constant reactivity that is the news feed and our Facebook posts, the birds can remind us to slow down and to notice what is happening, to get quiet and to get reflective on the inside, and that invitation remains the same as it ever did. The whole of the earth, from the mountains in your backyard to the beaches in mine, to the birds outside both of our windows. All of this is inviting us to slow down, to get quiet, and to listen. I found out some really interesting things about birdsong as I delved deeper into the research around this. It turns out that linguists who have studied birdsong have discovered that birdsongs are not limited to functionality or utilitarian purposes, such as finding a mate, or in the case of my backyard, warning the other birds that my cat Rocco is outside, because he's really quite adept at being a bird catcher. It turns out that birds use what linguists call pre-language, sounds that are rich in meaning, but not stable in their meaning. As in, the meaning is established within the singer at the moment and is responsive to the situation at hand. So they're highly ordered patterns, they're very functional and they're very expressive, but their meaning can change depending on the situation at hand. And so often, these patterns, while they're similar, they're never repeated again. They're improvising. The birds are often improvising, just like a skilled jazz musician might, or like a human baby might on their way to learning language. Birds and babies and jazz musicians are making these sounds, making these joyful sounds unto the world and into their own hearts, because they have something to express. And these pre-language forms are what I'd like to sort of turn our attention a little deeper to right now, because it turns out that pre-language forms are not limited in any fashion. Uh-oh, I see that my internet may have cut out. Let's see.
You're back for me. I think
Okay,
we
I'm
only lost you for the last maybe 20 seconds. So sorry.
Well, okay, we're gonna improvise a little bit here, and I'll just say, let's see, that our philosophical and our spiritual traditions have pointed us to these contemplative practices that can be very useful. And it turns out they actually follow the same patterns as birdsong. So these contemplative practices such as chants and mantras and meditative singing such as tizé or evensong, they follow very similar patterns to birdsong. And they can help us to reconvene and reconnect and recommune with that source within us, that source that Barbara Brown Taylor found in the fields of the grass outside in the backyard of her parents' home. And this invitation to perpetual, consistent, and quiet stillness is, I think, a primary way that we will find our way through our current challenges. It's an invitation that many nature authors have shared over the years. And one that I want to point out specifically right now is written by Annie Dillard. And she says, at a certain point, you say to the woods and to the sea and to the mountains and the world, now I am ready. Now I will stop and be wholly attentive. And she writes, after a time, you hear it. There is nothing there. You feel the world's word as a tension and a hum, a single chorused note, everywhere the same. The silence is actually quite full. Silence is not an absence of sound waves. It's actually the presence of so much sound and so much fullness. It is the hum of the earth. And if you're curious, after the service today, I encourage you to go onto whatever music app you go and look up the sounds of the earth that have been recorded by NASA. I sort of hoped to play it for you today, but it turned out to be beyond my technical capacity. But it turns out that researchers at NASA have recorded the sound that our planet makes from space and put it into a sound register that we can hear. And it's quite surprising when you hear the hum of all of the dolphins and the butterflies and the humans and the deer and the trees growing and the flowers blooming. It creates a beautiful sound that is quite pleasing to our ears. And you'll notice if you stick around and look at some of the other ones, the other planets don't make a nice noise, at least to our ears. So I encourage you to check that out if you can sometime this afternoon. We're so much a part of this earth. And she's teaching us every day how to be present and how to be still and how to be connected. And with the quieting of the world outside, I think it's a great invitation to try and model what the birds are doing, to try to find those moments when you can tap into that inner peace, tap into that part that connects you first to yourself and then to another and then to the wider world. And I promise that if you do this, and if I do this, and if we do this, we will find that we emerge from the challenges that we're facing right now more strong, more resilient, more whole, and surprised maybe, in fact, by our capacity to hold the things that we think are unholdable. And so I want to end with this. This week is a week of listening. We're going to be on a lot of Zoom calls, and we're going to be making a big decision at the end of the week. And it's going to take a lot of listening on all of our parts. And so I ask you, South Valley, if you are willing to play along with me and to practice along with me and to walk along with me in a practice of listening in to yourself and to another and to the whole of our community at South Valley in a way that we would listen to the wind in the trees and the birds in the sky and the rivers and the lakes, and in my case, the ocean. And if you're willing to participate in that listening, I encourage you right now, even though I can't see you, to wave your hand or to put a thumbs up or to drop in the chat box that you would like to participate in this listening. And if you drop something in the chat box, I'm going to take a moment to read your name out. So Tina Kirkham says yes, and Erin Wilcox says yes, and Natalie says yes, and Michelle and Brian and Jane, and it's going fast, and Mary and Carrie and Anne and Stephen and Brenda and Ellen and Shawnee, and I'm missing people, and Cade and Bob and Kate and Chad and Denna and Marilyn and Brenda and Louise and Sandy. And I just want to invite everyone to sort of see that in the chat box and see that this is a community of people, and we are together and we are committed and we are going to find our way through. So may it be so. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. And you can say back, and so it is. I heard you, even though we're on mute. And so it is. For our final song now, we're going to sing together, and I invite you to stand if you are comfortable standing. John is going to perform number 100, Peace Like a River. And Zach is going to put the lyrics in the chat box. And I encourage you just to feel this energy in your body and to sort of feel it in your heart and to breathe in big and deep.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. In my soul, I've got joy like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul.
John, thank you. And Reverend Laura, thank you from all of our souls. Natalie's going to put the chalice extinguishing words in the chat box, and you're invited to keep standing and say those together. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of community, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
So our time of worship is coming to its close, but our time of community continues. I want to remind you that for a few moments after the service, we're going to have time of community together, and Brenda will be here to monitor and to manage that. And after about 15 or 20 minutes, the Zoom will close temporarily to allow everyone to have a short break, and then everyone is invited back to come and play a game with me in which we'll be drawing your name out of a hat. So come back for that at 12:30. But hear now the benediction. And I picked the words from William Wordsworth, and he says, "Enough of science and art, so enough with Zoom. Close up those barren leaves and come forth. Bring with you a heart that watches and receives. Bring with you a heart that watches and receives." So may you go forth from this time with a blessing on your heart and your hands open to receive and to give all that this day has brought to you. Blessed be, and amen. I'll see you in a bit.
Zach, if you'll unmute everyone.